Blindsided and disrespected. This is a video for Black women federal workers. Either if you are currently a federal employee and or if you've been recently laid off. This is a healing space for Black women. So we're going to talk about some different tips, some mental health tips about ways that we can support during this time. And we're also going to talk about some financial tips because the financial fears are probably cropping up about what am I going to do? What do I need to do? So we're going to talk about this. So again, it's a healing space for Black women who are currently working for the federal government or those who've recently been laid off. We know what's been going on. It has been absolutely insane to see just unbelievable stuff happening. And I just want to publicly say that I'm so sorry that this is happening right now, although I have no responsibility. However, I want to say, sis, I hear you. We are here to support you. This is a healing space for us. If you don't know me already, I'm Dr. Kamani. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist, a toxic job survivor, but more importantly, I'm a toxic job liberator for Black women. I'm also the co-host with Marissa Price of the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. We have the second annual Job Liberation Virtual Summit coming up May 16th to 18th. And I also want to publicly say that the summit is also for you, sis. So if you are currently in that federal job and you're worried about what the next step is going to be and to really help you get prepared, or if you've recently been laid off and you are concerned about what you need to do to pivot, the summit is for you too, okay? So I just want to publicly say that, and I'm so happy today. This is very last minute live that we scheduled today. I'm so happy that Marissa and Dr. Roche have made themselves available to be here with us today. Again, this is a healing space for Black women. So I'm going to turn it over first to Marissa for her to introduce herself, and then we'll go to Dr. Roche.
Yeah, hi everyone. I am Marissa Price. I am a social worker. So the basis of my YouTube channel is helping Black women heal from trauma to share resources, knowledge. And yeah, I'm also the co-host of the upcoming Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. So yeah, I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you, Marissa. Dr. Roche.
And good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Roche Brown. I am also known as the Doctor of Rethinking because I help people to remix their thinking so they can make money, they can manage their money, and they can multiply their money. So I'm excited to be on here. Of course, I am not really a guest anymore on this channel. I feel like I'm family on this channel.
Yes, you are.
But thank you, Dr. Kamani, for having me. Good to see you, Marissa. I'm excited to have a conversation with you both.
Yes, and I hope that everybody can see that we are sisters here. We are a sisterhood right here on the screen, but we are a sisterhood holding space for our sisters, okay? So with Dr. Roche, if you don't know her already, Dr. Roche has been on my channel many, many times. We have done a financial masterclass together a few times.
Yeah.
And she is also one of the speakers for the Job Liberation Virtual Summit. So she'll talk a little bit later about what she's going to be talking about during the Job Liberation Summit. And for those of you who don't know her, just briefly, let me tell you that she is a financial psychologist. So in addition to a licensed clinical psychologist like me, she's also a financial psychologist. So she is the woman whom I work with to get my financial exit plan together when I was pivoting out and resigning from the most toxic job I've ever had. I work with Dr. Roche Brown, so I can completely vouch for her, and she's a summit speaker. So again, we're holding space for Black women. If you want to comment in the chat about anything that's coming up for you right now, we will make space for that in terms of talking about that. And so what we wanted to do was really start off with a grounding. So really to ground ourselves in the moment right now, there's so much chaos and confusion right now. The importance of us really to ground ourselves so we can stay present. Ground ourselves and know that in this moment, we are safe, okay? So we have to do that because if we don't, then we start going down these anxiety holes and all those things. When we get in that mode, what happens is now we're in survival mode, okay? I'm just gonna do little psychoeducation and I'm turning it over to Marissa for the meditation, the guided visualization that we're gonna do today. So just understand that right now, with all the chaos and confusion going on right now, it is causing all of us to go into survival mode. When we go into survival mode, our amygdala in our brain kind of overrides everything else, right? So now we're in fight, flight, or freeze mode. When we're in fight, flight, or freeze mode, we come to just to stay stuck sometimes, right? When we stay stuck and we're in this constant fear response, we can't access our prefrontal cortex. Our prefrontal cortex, that is where we have organization, where we have structure and judgment and planning. All those things are shut down when we're in this survival mode. Okay. So the hope is that in this moment, you can kind of turn down that survival brain so you're able to be fully present during our time together today, during this healing space, and you can access that prefrontal cortex. So we are providing healing opportunities for you on our YouTube channels, okay? The virtual summit. These are healing spaces for Black women. So we could turn down that survival brain and we can access our prefrontal cortex so we're able to pivot and pivot well. As Black women, we know how to pivot. Sometimes we need resources, we need support, and sometimes we just say, I'm hurting, I'm scared, okay? This is a space for you, sis, okay? So now I'm going to turn it over to Marissa Price for her to go over a guided visualization for us to help ground us in this moment.
Yes. So this is a guided journey for Black women reclaiming themselves after job loss and betrayal. So to get started, sit or lie down in a position that feels supportive to you. If you feel comfortable, close your eyes. If not, you can just lower your gaze. Place one hand on your heart and the other on your belly. Take a deep breath in through your nose and exhale slowly through your mouth. Repeat a few times here, letting your breath slow your nervous system. Silently say to yourself, this is a safe moment. I don't have to fix anything. I'm simply here. Feel your body being held by the ground, the seat, your breath, and let that be enough. Visualize your energy, your confidence, your creativity, your voice returning to you. Every time you were dismissed, disrespected, or gaslit, every time you stayed quiet to keep the peace, each moment of self-doubt or burnout that you experienced, you are now calling that energy back. Imagine it like threads of light, soft but strong, moving from those past places, returning to your body in the present. As they return, say in your mind or out loud, I call my power back to me. I am whole. I am home within myself. Now imagine yourself in a quiet, beautiful room. There's soft light all around you. The air feels clear. In the center of the room is a chair, a symbol of your inner authority. Walk towards it slowly. Each step represents releasing what no longer belongs to you. The story that your worth was tied to a job. The pressure to prove your value. The shame of being let go, which is not yours to carry. The fear of starting over. Leave those at the door. Sit in the chair. Feel your posture change. Shoulders back, chin lifted. Remind yourself you are not here to shrink. You are here to remember. In this quiet space, ask yourself, what parts of me have I neglected? What do I need to feel powerful again? What truth have I been afraid to speak? There's no rush here. Just listen. Trust what comes up, even if it's messy or unclear. You are practicing self-loyalty, moment by moment. Now imagine a soft light growing from your center, your gut, chest, or wherever power lives in your body. Let it grow until it surrounds you completely. This is your power, unshakable and renewed. So take a deep breath here again. Inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth. Open your eyes if you close them. Begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. And say to yourself, I am allowed to begin again. What happened to me does not define me. I release what harmed me, and I reclaim what's mine. Thank you.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Marissa. Thank you so much. So let us remember as Black women, this is something that we are going through. This does not define who we are. It's not define who we are. So it's important to connect to ourselves. It's important to stay grounded. It's important to connect to our breath. Okay. As Black women, we will come together. We will do whatever we can to heal. Okay. We also know that a big part of our healing is in community. So we are holding space to heal in community. We will continue to hold space to heal in community. Also, to remind you that all these things are happening just like our ancestors. All those things that they were trying to destroy us, we got stronger, okay? We will persevere. We will move like Harriet. We will find our way, right? But right now, we might be a little lost. We might be set back. We might be knocked down because many of us, if you are in this situation, are experiencing a sense of betrayal, okay? Betrayal and disrespect. So my hope for you, sis, is that in addition to connecting to your breath, that you are intentional of holding healing space for yourself. So whatever that might look like, that might mean boundaries with people. That might mean, no, I cannot help you with that. That might mean taking time for yourself. That might mean taking some quiet time away. That might mean therapy. So whatever that is, I hope that you prioritize that and you center that for yourself, okay? Now, I do want to, and they said, thank you, Marissa. That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So now we're going to transition and have Dr. Roche talk to us about some financial tips, okay? So when a job loss happens, particularly when it's sudden, there are some things that we need to keep in mind financially. So she's going to offer some tips. And if you are still at the job, but you are leery about what might be going down, you also need to be aware of some financial tips. So Dr. Roche, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, yes. So that was wonderful, Marissa. Definitely feel all your feels. Okay. Whatever you're feeling is okay. And make sure that you allow space for that. Because even that can impact your finances, right? You know, even being like angry or whatever it might be, you might end up just being, you know, spending more money than you necessarily need to in order to like manage some of those emotions. And so that's why it's so important for you to do like the work and like understanding what I'm feeling, being okay with what you're feeling, you know, allowing yourself to do meditation. You can just replay the beginning portion of this video, you know, just to make sure you're doing that on a regular basis, right? Anytime that you're feeling a little overwhelmed with emotions. I think that's number one. So that's going to be like that mindset and that emotional aspect of finances. But if it's already happened and you already have lost your job, most important thing is communication is key, right? A lot of times we go to the level of avoidance and not communicating. So we just will stop paying a bill because now we don't have the money in order to pay the bill. If you communicate to all of the places, your utility companies, oftentimes they have like financial hardship funds, like they know that things happen to their clients. And so they have like areas that can help you. Either, they might have you not pay for a month or 2 months. They might be able to, put it off the next payment. Sometimes you don't have to pay at all. Right. So that's why communication is always going to be key during this particular time. Looking at what bills are like required and are extremely necessary, and start prioritizing those over other bills. But you still want to communicate, with those other bills, right? So make sure you like start to look at that and start paying attention to those areas. Another thing is going to be you, right? It's going to be you stuff. And so that means that you are also going to have to like look at your finances. And if there's been some level of excessive spending, maybe excessive, like, dining out, fast food restaurants or whatever that may happen, you may have to, at this point, decide to start cutting back. Usually when people first lose their job, they still have money in that very beginning. So they still are spending the same exact way, even though they're not sure where money's going to come later on. So you really want to stop those habits right away if you possibly can. Okay. So cut back on the dining out, because you're going to need extra cash flow as much as possible. Okay. Even at this in the very moment, if it's just recently happened, you may still be able to increase your credit card limits, because even though you don't have a job, technically you just had a job, right? Like, so you still have the ability to increase your credit card limits. The reason why you're doing this is not so you can spend more money, but you never know how long it's going to take before you find another job that you feel settled in, and you want to give yourself the options. And so this will at least keep you with more money availability, even credit, right? Credit availability is going to be more important. If you do it now, it's going to be better than later. And so what I noticed, what happens with a lot of people is that they find themselves, not paying attention to these things in the very beginning, right? And then they start using their credit cards so much that now their credit cards cause a dip in their credit, right? It's not the credit usage that's causing just the credit dip. If you increase your availability, like if you have more availability, you can use it more, right? And you won't have a credit dip. Is that making sense, what I'm saying? So make sure that you you increase that credit when you have the availability to do so. For those that are still at their job right now, but you can foresee and you can anticipate something is looming, something's on its way. If you're a homeowner, it's definitely the time to try to utilize like a refinancing, getting cash out to have extra funds. You can only do that when you have a job. So with that, you want to be very careful, right? Because just because you have equity is not accessible unless you have a paycheck. Okay. And most people don't necessarily know that. So you can have tons of equity in your house, 100,000, 200,000. But if there is no paycheck stub, they will not give you that money. Okay. So even if you choose to get a HELOC loan, which is a home equity line of credit, you can do that. So you at least have access, to some money available. It kind of will operate similar to like a credit card in that way. You want to have that available to you. If you get those funds and you still at your job, remember, it's not for you to use. I got to be very careful. Don't use this money. This is more for a rainy day. So I would say get that money and at least put it inside of a high yield savings account. Okay. And just let it sit there and let it at least increase with some interest at this point, and so you can be prepared. So that's going to be your real emergency fund. I normally call it an abundance fund. So we're going to live in abundance at that time. Okay. So I want you to make sure that if you access, money when you have the availability to access your money. It is going to be important just if you're still at your job, I can't stress enough, like the cutting back of spending. You really want to be aware of that. And what will cause you more excessive spending is going to be these emotional things. And that's why, as we're talking about like the meditation, it's so important. You're going to have to find ways to cope with the toxicity that's at that job, the toxicity that's in this world, right? Like you're going to have to find ways to cope with that. And so make sure even while you're at this job, that you're just not simmering in all of that toxicity. So, make sure you take your time to make sure you're eating lunch during the days, taking some breaks, going outside for walks if you are working remotely still, if you have the availability to, right? Like even if you're at your job, leave the office space, and allow yourself opportunities to go out and walk and do different things like that, because you want to be able to think clearly. And I think when you're in and kind of simmering with toxicity, meaning like all of your coworkers, they're upset, they're toxic, their managers, everybody is in that space of fear. It's allowing you to just kind of simmer in that same emotion, and that's actually making it very difficult to figure out what is going to be my next step. So give yourself those spaces to be able to like think clearly as much as possible. And then it'll make it a lot easier to not, maybe crave chocolate or something like that, right? Or crave retail therapy because you have done some of the other work that's very necessary. So I would definitely say, this is why the combination of like the finance and psychology is extremely important. Do that work. But the natural financial tips, just kind of as a quick summary, is going to be communication. Communicate with all of your, utility, anybody you owe. Okay, even if it's your mama, just tell them something. That'd be the problem. People don't like to tell people what's going on, and you just leave people like ghosted. And that is not a good feeling for anybody, creditors or even somebody that you know. Okay, so let them know, hey, I'm anticipating, a job loss is coming here, or a job loss has happened. I don't know when I'm going to be able to pay you back at this point, but I will pay you back, right? If you say something to somebody, they can work through that. But it's the not speaking at all that causes you to actually find yourself in a deeper debt when you don't really even need to be in that deeper debt, okay? I would also suggest for those of you guys who do have good credit, not only do you want to do the credit availability, like increase your availabilities, but if you have the ability for a 0% APR credit card, which will allow you not to have to pay interest, there are really good ones that can go 18 months, 21 months, right? That gives you enough time during this time to be able to, at least pay the debt without having to worry about the interest that's starting to accrue. Right? Because oftentimes you may be paying $300 a month to a creditor, and maybe $100 is going to interest, maybe even $2, depending on what your interest rates are. Right? And so it means that it seems like that credit card never seems to go down. Right? Because you're like, I just keep on paying at it, and nothing is happening. And so if we can at least, reduce that interest rate, that will also help. And then, of course, you want to like work with you, make sure that you are, cutting back where you need to cut back, anything that seems excessive, anything that just doesn't need to be, right? It might be, this is the time you might say, I'm not going to do cable anymore, right? Because cable is too expensive. I need to make sure that I'm only doing internet and subscriptions at this time. Even if you have not lost your job, one of the tips that I often give in our group is, start to stack up on things, right? Like toiletries, like, go to your Costco's, get like, your big bulk toiletries, because at least if you're no longer working, what makes you feel more broke and more poor, at least I know for me, is if I can have no tissue and I have no money to go get no toilet paper. You know what I'm saying? Like that'll make you feel more broke, right? Or like even just your favorite lotions. Bath and Body Works just had this great little sale. But if you like, certain like smell goods or whatever, start stacking on that kind of stuff now while you still have the money, because it'll make you feel better later on that you're not running out of things that at least make you enjoy life or a certain type of quality of life, if that makes sense. Okay. So those are my tips for today.
Those are very helpful. I want to follow up on a few things. That was excellent. Okay. So can you share with the audience, what do you mean about a high yield savings? What is that? And what is it and how you get that?
Yes. So you can literally Google what is the best high yield savings of 2025. Okay. And those will, there'll be multiple high yields that'll show up. I'll give you guys a couple of different ones that you guys could, like either put in the chat or put in the comments. One, my personal one is Capital One 360 is a high yield. They have Synchrony, SYNCHRONY. There is American Express, high yield. There is SoFi, SOFI. So there's many different ones that are out there, Marcus, and what a high yield savings is like. So let's give you a comparison. So when you have your regular savings account at one of your more popular banks, okay, ones that you see regularly, very easy to, access, and they tend to be like a brick and mortar, a place that you would go in and, do any kind of banking. When you're at those type of places, the savings, the interest rate on your money tends to be around like 0.001%, right? So like less than a penny is what your interest rates are. Oftentimes people will say, go get a credit union, right? Because the credit union is like better, and credit unions are definitely better, better than the most popular banks, but they tend to be maybe around like 0.5%, which is like making 50 cents on your money. Well, most high yield savings right now at the lowest end, they're making around 3.8%, and that's around the lowest end. Some of them are as high as like 5% right now. And so if you think about 3.8%, that's like making $3.80 on your money, right? And so we clearly know that's better than a penny, and that's better than 50 cents, right? And so if money's going to be sitting in an account, it's going to grow a lot faster. So you might notice like interest that's happening, like, oh, I'm, depending on how much money you have, oh, I'm making $10 a month. Maybe I'm making $40 a month. I have accounts that are making $400 a month, right? And so that's just money that's just being, added into your little bucket of cash flow.
Very helpful. Right. So we're all mental health professionals. So I would love for us to talk a little bit about, in addition to the shock, the betrayal, the disappointment, the grief, right? I think it's important for us to hold space and kind of call out a name. And also for those of you who are watching right now, if you want to even write in the chat about what are some of the reactions. Okay, this is kind of like a check-in with us. So what are some of the reactions you're having right now? And for us to work with you as mental health professionals about supporting you and holding space for that. So one of the things I was thinking about, actually two things I was thinking about, and I would love to hear both of you and your perspectives on this. One was, I was thinking about the high anxiety that you are, let's say, in the workplace, or you've recently been laid off, and your coworkers are all high anxiety too, right? So everybody's in this high anxiety state. What tips can you offer to Black women who are in this situation where everybody around them it's like high anxiety, right? So let's say you've been laid off and all your coworkers are contacting you, and you're constantly talking about it over and over and over again, or waiting to hear what's going to happen, or wait to see if you're going to get reinstated, or following the next executive order, or the law, what's happening in the courts, right? So it's all this stuff looming. Can we talk about how that may impact Black women, and what are some tips that we can offer as mental health professionals?
Yeah. It made me think of so me and my friend, we will call each other and say, I need a shift changer. Right. And so if have like a bad, a day is going like the wrong way and different things like that. And I just need you to shift me, you know what I mean? Because sometimes you just need another perspective, somebody to just kind of lift your mood in a different way. And what I will say is, be the shift changer, right? In these conversations, right? Either choose to be the person who is not only going to be like, yeah, life sucks, right? Make a choice to say, we can be different, right? We don't have to sit in this negativity, so whatever that is that you are, it could be I mean, if you're a person who prays, maybe that's going to be the shift changer, right? Like, let's pray on this right now. Neither one of us know what to do in this moment. If you're a person who meditates, right? It might be one of those moments to say, hey, let's do a 21-day meditation, and just and check in with each other every single day about 21 days of peace or even 21 days of abundance, because we're trying to attract abundance in our lives. I think about I'm doing a 21 day with Deepak Chopra right now, the 21 day abundance. But it just little things that I think will just like change the energy that's around you. You have to break that up, right? That's why I was saying, like, don't simmer in those emotions, right? If you notice like, wow, I've been negative for a little bit too long, like make sure that you either contact somebody who may not be going through the same thing, and they could be your shift changer. Certain people around you, the people who are going to, join in your misery, right? And there's other people who don't allow you to join into misery, right? Call that person. Because sometimes we're looking for validation for how negative we're feeling internally. So we find all the people who feel the same way. Find that person who tends to be a little bit more optimistic, just so they can be that shift changer, right? That person may say like, hey girl, let's go take a walk. You know what I mean? Just walk the lake or walk, like, what, I don't know. We have lakes out here, but walk wherever your space is and just be like, I just need to be out of the house. Or I need to be out of this environment. And I need to connect, right? I think also it can be very difficult for people who, say you were going to work and then now you're back at home and you're not used to being at home and you have no social connection. And that also will lead to a little bit more of a depressive state, right? And so even just doing like little social connections with your friends, not spending no money. That's why I say you're going on a walk, okay? You're going on a walk. Like, but you go take a walk and just talk about, hey, what's going on with my kids or some other kind of conversation. So you're just not only focused on this. So that's my thoughts about that.
Yes. So the importance of being around people for validation and support, but not getting locked into all the negativity and the what if, right? Because the anxiety kind of compounds when you do that. And I think also it's important that sometimes we're around people who are so like overly positive that it's like that toxic positivity. Like, girl, can I get my point out?
Right.
Can I be okay with saying I'm not good right now? So being around people that allow you to do that, they hold space for you, they validate you, but they also allow you to share, and they don't go into the problem solving, fix it kind of mode. Right. So have that space and to be around other people and not always spend money, but to find ways to be around other people for support. Okay.
Yeah, definitely a balance. I would say that when, you don't want to be super positive and to the point that the person's so Pollyanna-ish that you don't like, dude, I really don't have to pay my bills. Like you want somebody who understands that.
Right.
And that you can even express those emotions. So you want to be with the good person that allows you to express your real emotions as well. Because I think a lot of times we also find ourselves feeling so strong and not being open and honest about what we're really feeling either, during this time. So you want to also have that person that you can be like, I need to cry. You know what I'm saying? And who can I cry around is the person that I want to be, around as well, too.
That you raised a really good point. Marissa, can you speak to that as Black women, how we're often portrayed as the strong Black woman? And we are, because we don't have a choice not to be, right? But how, particularly during this time, being so strong, how this can also impact us maybe in a not so positive way when we don't allow ourselves space to connect to how we're feeling right now.
I think it's important to allow space, like Dr. O'Shea mentioned, for whatever feelings pop up, and to not judge them, right? And also to not gaslight yourself to think that, oh, I shouldn't be feeling this way, because this is a scary time. This is an unprecedented time. Like, all these things are very real. We're seeing things being rolled back every single day, and on purpose, right? It is meant to create fear, to create distraction, like all these things. And so sitting with that truth, like, this is a stressful time. So that's why I'm feeling stressed. That may be helpful, just granting yourself permission to feel what you feel and being around people who validate those feelings, like Dr. Roche mentioned too, right? And not try to downplay it. You shouldn't be feeling this way. It's like, how you feel is how you feel. And this is a stressful time. This is a sad time often, as we see people losing jobs that they've put so much of themselves into, right?
Absolutely.
Jobs that we were told were supposed to be for a lifetime, that were supposed to be
Mhm.
stable.
Especially
And we're
government
seeing them
jobs.
just,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah,
Government job, good government
exactly.
job. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
Yes.
And so it's confusing, and it's happening like day after day. We're seeing new things. So just allowing yourself to feel can
Yeah.
really be the pathway towards greater understanding, right, of what we're in. Yeah, that can be helpful. And also focus on what you can control. So in the moments you can, like, take a deep breath, right? Center
Mhm.
yourself, center your things, center yourself in the things you know to be true. While the
Mhm.
world is in chaos, you don't have to be in chaos internally,
So
right? It's
true.
really anchoring yourself in those truths. And also do what brings you joy. I think that's important. Sometimes we
Yes.
tend to overlook joy. Like
Yeah.
the cartoons, bring back the cartoons, right?
Yes.
The painting, the drawing, the stuff you used
Yes.
to do as a kid. That can really like open your mind and provide space for greater healing too.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I agree. I agree. And the importance of like centering in the moment and reminding ourselves in this moment, I am safe. In this moment, I am okay, right? Just as simple as that is so important.
Yeah.
And the little things we connect to joy. So we might think, well, I can't afford to go on a vacation now. But what are the little things you can do to bring you joy, right? Can you smell a flower?
Yeah.
Taste something and just really savor in the taste? Can you talk to someone who brings you joy? What are the
Mhm.
things? You have a pet. Are you playing with your pet? So what are those things that you could do? And I thought of something, ladies, and this might be a little, but I'm gonna bring it up, okay? So what about the role of prayer, spirituality, religion, particularly during this time, right? So some
Mhm.
people might say, girl, just pray it away. God gonna provide. You lost that job, another job gonna come, right? That kind of
Mhm. Yeah.
response. What would you say to Black women where other people are saying that to them? Give it to God. Everything gonna be good, right? And it won't even allow space for the emotion of what's happening.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit about that too.
Marissa, you want to go?
Yeah, I was like,
Go
oh, yeah. I
go
think the
ahead.
term like spiritual bypassing comes up for me. So a lot
Mhm.
of these things that we're experiencing as a result of oppressive systems,
Mhm.
right? Those are real. Those are real. And
Mhm.
so to sit with that, and again, not gaslight yourself that you should be feeling this way or that way. Um, and just like the real emotions that you're feeling, because this is a scary time. I
Yeah.
think that's important. And you
Mhm.
can make a plan and still have faith, right? You can be
Mhm.
sad,
Yes.
disappointed, and your faith can still be, right, very much present. So it's not an
Mhm.
either or. I think both of
Mhm.
these like operate at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
I agree. I agree. I mean, they're definitely not an either or situation. And I believe, like, you want to pray and you want to activate your faith during this time, right? Especially when you're at a dark time, even more so, you want to activate the faith. But God wants you to come to Him too about how you're feeling overall, right? You know what I'm saying? So all the emotions that you're experiencing. And I think it is like a toxic spirituality aspect to be in that place of, like, just pray and that's it. You know what I mean? And not to really be able to allow space for people to feel whatever they're feeling during this time. So you need to do both of those things at the same time. I think that if you're crying out to God, it doesn't mean that you're lacking faith at this time. You're talking to the right person. Right. So
Yeah.
the person who can help change things and help your perspective, help you to see opportunities or whatever's going to happen, how to see this situation a different way. You're talking to the right person. It doesn't mean that it's bad to have the emotions while you're, talking to him.
Right. And I see Liz is in the house. I see Liz. Hey, girl. So she said spiritual bypassing is so dangerous. God made us with emotions. So true. So true.
Yeah.
So something I was thinking about too is as Black women, sometimes we don't want to tell other people how we're feeling because we don't want to burden them or
Mm.
we don't want to put something upon them. But that limits us because now we're not getting the support that we might need because, again, many times we heal in community. So can we
Yeah.
speak to the Black woman who might be watching right now, and she is hurting, she is scared, she is all these things, but she's saying to herself, I don't want to burden anybody. Everybody else got a whole bunch of stuff. They're dealing with their own issues. I don't want to add to it. So can we talk about that and ways that that might harm us as Black women? And how do we give ourselves permission to share how we're feeling with people around us?
Yeah. My brain just thought about bag lady, right? I just feel like, we're carrying, it just feels like so much weight, right? And
Yes.
so it's freeing when you actually share with somebody. That's why I was even saying, like, finding that person that you can cry in front of, even if you're being irrational, right? Like, we have our moments of just being irrational, like, oh, I suck. Oh, what's wrong with me? I'm a failure. Even that, you need somebody who knows all of you and can hold all of you, right? And allow that to happen still, right?
Yeah.
Like, so you can allow, like, oh girl, I understand, that person could be there and be like, and you also this, and you also this, and can speak life to remind you of who you are.
Reality.
So even more so important, like, who you're around is important, because you need that time to get the weight off of you. Because the more that you're holding that, weight of all these feelings that you are feeling, it's like, it's making it harder to move forward.
Yes.
Right. So, release that weight, right? Release that weight, and give it to somebody, right? If it's nobody is around you, then you go into therapy, you find somebody else that you can release that weight on, but you must get it out, right? Because the longer that you keep it, the longer that you're going to be suffering. With whatever's going on,
Yes. And it's festering, right? So you're just holding it all inside. And then you start feeling that sense of helplessness and hopelessness, which is so scary, because then you're all up in your head and you have nobody to help you talk it out, because you're thinking about the worst case scenario all the time, which can be exhausting. And when you're exhausting, now you're making moves that are not really beneficial for us, right? Okay. Marissa, what would you say about that for Black women who feel like, I don't want to tell people because they got their own problems and I don't want to add to what they're going through? What would you say about that?
I would say a first step could be just being honest with yourself, right, about your emotions. So journaling, voice noting, things that you're really feeling, like identifying your emotions and then getting into safe places where you can share them with other people. And I feel like your channel, Dr. Kamani, is one of those places to be able to just be in the chat and just say how you're feeling, right? If you don't have people around you that really resonate with those feelings, there are people out there who are going through exactly what you're going through, even if it feels isolating, even if you feel like you're all alone. A lot of people are experiencing this at the same time. So to be able to connect with them, right? So I think being honest with yourself, having like a pressure release valve for yourself, journaling, voice noting, creative outlets to express that to yourself, and then getting in those safe spaces where you can share those with other people.
I love what you said, a pressure release valve.
I
love
that. Good. I was like, a pressure release valve.
Journaling, or what can you do to kind of release the pressure, right? So it may not solve the problem, right? Because job loss has happened, or anticipating the job loss is happening. You can't change that part, but it's also focusing on what you said before. What do we have choice over, and how do we release some of the tension so it's less overwhelming? And I see a comment in the chat. I feel like I'm that for many people, but I don't have that person in my life, right? And I hear you, sis. I hear that a lot from Black women, that we are everything to everybody, but we don't have enough people around us to pour into us. So, sis, I want to say thank you for being a part of this community, right? And I hope that this community helps to pour into you. If you need additional support, and I'm saying this to everybody here, okay? If you need additional support, Marissa has her own community, right? So check out Marissa Price's channel. She has a community. I also have a private butterfly membership community for Black women. That is also a community where we can pour into one another, right? Now, on general, I talk to Black women all the time on my YouTube channel, right? but the community is behind the wall. Okay. That's behind the wall. We have more privacy and we can really pour into one another. So tomorrow I'm going to have the anti-HR lady coming to our community and talking about ways that as Black women, we can really protect ourselves in the workplace. Because what I'm hearing is out there, there's some people acting very emboldened. Okay.
Mhm.
So one of the things that we need to do to protect ourselves, even if you've been laid off, you're going to end up in another job. Okay. So what do we need to do to protect ourselves proactively? Okay. So if you want to be a part of the membership lives that I have, again, anti-HR lady is coming to speak to our community tomorrow, the private community, not this community, the private community. If you want to be a part of that community, you just press the join button where it says subscribe. Okay. So these are options or resources for you. I also have a link for that in the description section. Okay. So I hope, sis, I really pray for you that you are able to find that sense of community, because when we go through something stressful and you don't have people around you who can pour into you, it can feel very isolating. Okay. So we want to pour into you. Okay. And I say this all the time. People who watch my channel, a lot of you, I don't know you personally. Okay. Most of you, I don't know you. I don't know 7,000 people. Okay. I don't know you personally, but I sincerely want the best for you. Okay. And I hope that this channel, Marissa's channel, Dr. Roche's channel, that these are resources for you. So ladies, I want to talk a little bit about one of my favorite mental health terms, boundaries. Okay. So I'm thinking about maybe family members or friends who might be fueling the anxiety right now, right? Girl, you lost that job. What you gonna do now? Oh my God, right? Fueling that anxiety. What words can you say to Black women about boundaries at this time?
Don't answer their calls.
As simple as that. Don't answer, girl. Do not answer.
I think that's the inventory that we always need to do for our lives anyway, is, who makes me feel good after I get off the phone with them versus who doesn't make me feel good when do I feel more guilty or feel more like a failure? And so I think that's important for you to think about for anybody. You do an inventory around your family or your friends. Did I feel more drained after being in, connection with them? And I feel like if that's what you feel, then you don't answer those calls, right? You don't answer calls from people that make you feel more drained. You only want to, answer calls for people that you do feel like fill you up and make you feel better after the call. And so I think that's like a definite important boundary, because we're adults. It's easier to actually, manage our boundaries. It just has to be a choice that we're aware of. Like, hey, I don't have to do that, right? I don't have to be, I don't have to talk to you if I don't want to. So I think that's important.
Yes.
But sometimes you don't know how people are going to react. So you may have already you might be in the conversation and you get the opportunity to get out. You can be nice, nasty, or you can just go ahead and be like, and say, you're not giving me what I need, and I'll get off the phone.
Right.
Or you can just say, I'm busy, and find a way off the phone call. You just don't want to stay in anything that's not making you feel good.
Exactly. There's people around you that make you feel worse, especially right now, it's okay to set the boundary. It's okay to say, girl, I can't talk right now. I got something to take care of, right? And if you notice that you constantly talk to them and they constantly make you feel worse, it's okay to set a boundary with them. And it's even for your own family, okay? It might be your mama, okay?
Right.
So if you recognize that these people around you, they could have good intentions, okay? A lot of times it's not malicious, but they worry too. Oh my God, what you gonna do? Right? Set the boundary because it's going to end up making you feel worse. And the hope is that they understand, but if they don't understand, you really have to prioritize yourself, okay? What would you say, Marissa, about the boundary issue?
Yeah, I would say so. Gray rocking and yellow rocking are terms coming to me in
What's that?
narcissistic abuse.
What is that?
That
What
is
you
when
said,
you
brain rocking?
gray rocking and then yellow rocking. So in
Oh,
narcissistic
good.
abuse terms, like you only give people limited information based on the way that they've acted before, right? So if someone has instilled seeds of doubt, if they've made your anxiety even worse, now you only give them limited information going forward. So the terms are gray rocking, and then yellow rocking is the next step up, right? So just sharing limited information with these folks if they've already established a pattern of behavior that exacerbates your anxiety, that fuels your depression, right? Any of these symptoms that you exhibit, that you have that information to now take the power back into your own hands and only share with them what you want to, right? Share with them like limited information. I think that would be helpful.
I heard of that before. I'm like, what is that?
Right.
That's amazing. Yes, it's like tiers of what information you choose to share.
Yeah.
On the data, what they've already shown you.
That's good. That's good, Marissa.
That's really good. Okay.
And learn something. Right.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So as we're winding down, ladies, can you share about resources? Well, let's talk about this first. Okay, so everybody, again, the second annual Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women. Early registration is going on right now, okay? It is for you too, okay? So don't feel like, oh, well, I'm not in a toxic job, I'm not trying to go. It is for all Black women. It's for Black women who have been laid off. It is for Black women who are currently working a federal job, but you're concerned about what's going to happen. It's for Black women where you're like, I don't like this job, right? I want out of here, but I don't know how to leave. It's for Black women who've already left. It's for Black women across the continuum, okay? It is across whatever education level you have, across profession, and around the world, okay? So last year we had over 300 Black women in attendance. It is virtual. It is recorded, okay? So you might say, well, I'm busy that day. It's okay, sis. It's recorded, okay? The other thing is, as a privacy consideration, we don't want people in our business, okay? As a privacy consideration, none of the attendees, none of the summit attendees will be on camera. Names will not be listed, okay? Only the summit speakers. Only the summit speakers will be on camera, okay? If you want to change your name in the platform, you can change your name if you want to, initials or anything else, okay? So that's a resource available for you. So because all three of us are one of the 15 dynamic Black women speakers, okay, at the summit, I just want to briefly share with you what each of us is going to be covering, okay? More information about the summit will be coming out. Again, registration information is at the bottom of the screen, also description section of this video. So Marissa, can you share with everyone here, what is it that you're going to be sharing during the virtual summit?
Yeah, so the title of my talk is Take Your Power Back, Reclaim Your Skills, and Rebuild Your Self-Worth. Because a lot of the times we'll find ourselves in these jobs and feel like we don't have any skills, right? After we've come in, after we've been hired, right? There's a reason why we were hired in the first place, but over a process of the abuse often that we experience in these workplaces, we forget that we're skilled, our self-worth is diminished. And so how can you like rebuild yourself to enter into the next phase of your life, right? Realizing that there's another chapter that you have to turn to. It's not the end of your story. And so that's what I'll be walking folks through. How do you put those pieces of yourself back together and realize that it was never you, that you weren't the problem, that it was the toxic workplace, the toxic manager, right? All these things that we deal with. It was their problem, but it wasn't you. And so rebuilding those parts of yourself is what I'll be talking about.
Beautiful, beautiful. And actually, I misspoke. Okay. So Dr. Roche is going to be one of the bonus speakers of the summit. Okay. So the summit is May 16th or 18th, right? So the kickoff is that Friday with like a grounding. Okay. So it'll be that Friday evening grounding. And then all day, Saturday and Sunday is the summit. Okay. We have breaks, we have lunch break on your own. Okay. But again, it's all recorded. So Dr. Roche is one of the bonus speakers. So there's different accesses of tickets, okay? So there's a general admission where you can come in, you have a recording for a certain period of time, but the exclusive one, what's that tier called, Marissa?
The Freedom All Access Pass.
Okay, that pass allows you access to the bonus sessions too. So you get recordings for a year, right? I think the other one, it's just recordings for how long again, Marissa?
3 days after the
3
summit.
days. 3 days, okay?
Mhm.
But with the higher tier, you get the recordings for a year, okay? Also, you have access to the bonus sessions, okay? So Dr. Roche, the financial psychologist, is going to be talking to you. Also, Janice Sutherland is going to be talking to Black women 50 and above, because what I've noticed, I'm Gen X, what I've noticed is that many times once you get to a certain age, you think, oh my God, I won't be able to find anything else, because no, she's going to talk to you about that. And then Jackie Abram is going to talk to Black women who are in toxic jobs or in difficult job situations. And how do you cope in these environments where you're still there? Because many of us can't just up and say, I'm out of here, I'm out of here, I'm out of here, right? Because there's a process, okay? And again, even if you've been laid off, you're going to probably end up in another job, okay? So these are good resources to have, so that once you go back into a job, you know about things to look out for, and you also know how to cope in that environment. Maybe if you need to pivot out of that one too, but what are the things you need to be aware of, okay? So Dr. Rochette, can you share what you're going to be talking about at the Job Liberation Virtual Summit for Black women?
Yes. So I love the fact that I'm a part of the Freedom All Access Pass, okay? Because part of freedom is getting your money right, okay? Like, we definitely need to get our money right, so I'm going to expound upon like how the tips that we just already, covered on today. So of course, like how to save, really like how to get out of debt, which is a big deal for people, right? How to manage some of our spending habits and patterns. Also going to cover, like life insurance. Why do you need it? What kind do you need? And even like, we didn't talk about this today, but, as you're leaving these jobs, what do we do with our retirement? How do we manage our retirement? As an entrepreneur, somebody mentioned that in the chat. What do you do? Make sure that you're building out a retirement. So I'm going to also talk about those things as well, during my session. So it's going to be like money mindset, of course. We're going to talk, you guys will have heard so many people talking about getting your skills together so you can make money. But I'm really going to focus on that managing money part and how to multiply your money.
Multiply the money. Okay, I love that. Multiply the money. Okay. So, Dr. Roche, again, we partnered with the Financial Masterclass. So, if you need more immediate, like you're like, I need this information ASAP, I'm going to have a hard time waiting until May 16th. You can purchase the Financial Masterclass replay, okay?
Yes.
So that information is in the description section of this video. And in that Financial Masterclass replay, she talks about how to create your financial exit plan based upon your timeline, also options for your health insurance, your retirement, and so much more, okay? So if you need it more immediate, okay, again, description section, you can get the replay. And I am going to be leading you through a virtual AfroFlow yoga session. So I am in the process of becoming an AfroFlow yoga teacher. And so AfroFlow yoga is a mix between African dance and yoga. Okay. So we're going to be winding down on Saturday with AfroFlow yoga. It's going to be me and Antoinette leading you through an AfroFlow yoga session. And it's more in terms of as Black women, as we're grounded and we're calling in what we need for ourselves. And how do we release that negativity right now, right? So there's a lot of things trying to dim our light. How do we release that stuff and stay present so we can shine our light and so we can pivot to things that and live the life that we deserve, honestly, okay? So I'm going to read the community chat and then we're going to wind down. I see everybody saying hello to each other. After my recent layoff, we started a WhatsApp group to vent, share tips, connections, share each other's up, share our victories, and share lessons of what we're learning. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
I like that. Pouring into each other. Yes. That's the epitome of healing and community. Yes, definitely have to sit with myself and control my emotions. Yes, have faith and a plan. The balance of both is so important right now. Okay, we talked about the support. Let's see. I withheld for a long time, and my therapist said, how will you feel if a friend was going through something and didn't share? I said, I'd be upset. And she said, so why would you do that to them? Good point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Therapists are awesome, aren't they?
Yes.
Little bias. Yes, that's so true. Find sisterhood and community. Yes. I have a public health master's degree and always wanted to work federal, but seeing the layoffs, I would stay with health insurance company. Yeah. And I think that this time is really showing us as Black women that, I'm Gen X, right? My mother was a government employee and she was like, you get a good job and
Right.
you stay there until you retire. You get that
Yes.
good pension with those good benefits.
Yep.
You do that, right? I had a government job, right? It wasn't federal. It was, I worked for a school
Mm-hmm.
district, but I had a government job. It was the most toxic job I've ever had in my
Mm-hmm.
life. Okay. It was horrible. And so when I pivoted out, my mother was not happy. She was not happy. A government employee, like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? Why would you
Right.
do that? Right. And so what I'm showing you and what I'm saying to you is you are able to pivot out of a government job and live a much better life. I'm telling you can. Okay. The
Mm-hmm.
virtual summit, we talk about one of the things we talk about is creating multiple streams of income, which now I have. Okay. When I was at that job before, I had one stream of income. That was not good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want any of us as Black women to have one stream of income because what this environment is showing us right now is that we need to be flexible. We need to pivot. We need to have multiple streams of income. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things we're going to talk about during the virtual summit. Okay. That's why you need to come. Sending my love and space to other Black women in federal jobs or got laid off. See, I love this community. So
Yes.
supportive. I love it. I'm a Black male who works for FEMA. Thanks for the support. You're welcome. You're welcome, brother. You're welcome. Okay. Wishing Black women all the success and money they can stand 100%. Okay. Any last words before we wind down for today? Marissa, I'll start with you.
Yeah, just say that you always have the power to pivot. I think we're seeing, again, it's intentional. The fear, the chaos, the distraction around us, and just reminding yourself of your personal power, which stays with you, right, throughout your life, no matter what's going on externally. You always have the power to tap in and to determine your next move forward, no matter what's happening around you. So, yeah.
So important. So important. Thank you. What about you, Dr. Roche?
Surround yourself with the right people, so as we're talking about community, find a community that is going to help support you, right? Find the right people who could be those shift changers in your life around your mood and or whatever you're feeling. So I would just say, just stay around the right type of people or find that group. Okay.
Yeah, so important. And I just want you to remember to pour into yourself. I want you to stay grounded in what's happening right now, here and now. Focus on what you can control in your life, right? Don't get swept away, right? The anxiety can sweep you away. Let's focus on the tips that we offered in this video. If you need to watch this video over and over and over again, please do. If you know of other Black women who are in similar situations, please share this video with her, okay? So pour into yourself, pour into other Black women if you're able to. Know that there's communities of healing available to you. Marissa Price, check out her channel. Dr. Roche, check out her channel. Please, we invite you to come to the Job Liberation Virtual Summit, which is a healing space. No matter where you are on that continuum, it's a healing space for us as Black women, okay? So I see someone saying, thank you. This is very beneficial. Thank you. You are welcome. You are welcome. We are here for you. We may not know you personally, but we are here to support you. We're in solidarity. We want the best for you, okay? Okay, everyone. So thank you so much for watching, and we will see you later. Ladies, if you guys can stay on. Okay, bye, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.